靠！And hell descended upon Shandong will forever be etched in my memory, a nightmare made real in the heart of China. What began as an unremarkable afternoon in Dongming County transformed into a scene of such terrifying chaos I had traveled to China countless times for business, but nothing could have prepared me for the horror that awaited on that fateful day of July 5th. The air hung heavy with an unnatural stillness, a suffocating blanket of humidity that seemed to press down upon the bustling streets of Dongming. Little did I know that this oppressive calm was merely the prelude to a symphony of destruction that would soon engulf us all. As I sat in my hotel room on the 12th floor, poring over contracts and emails, the first signs of the impending catastrophe crept in with insidious subtlety. A flicker of the lights, a tremor so slight I almost dismissed it as imagination. But then came the wind. Not the gentle breeze of a summer afternoon, but a howling, ravenous thing that clawed at the windows with spectral fingers. I rose from my desk, drawn to the panoramic view that had, until now, offered a pleasant backdrop to my work. What I saw froze the blood in my veins. The sky, once a clear blue, had transformed into a roiling mass of darkness.
差点儿过，漏血过。好神奇！不是，呀，吹呀！你看下边的，这是车棚吹完了。吹完了。哦。呀，咋了？你看那棚呢？呀。
Clouds churned and boiled like a witch's cauldron, and from their depths descended a sight that still haunts my dreams, a massive, writhing funnel of pure destruction.
起来了，我靠！哇，虚皮子了，我操！哎呀，吓死了！走！
The tornado touched down with the fury of an angry god, its roar drowning out the screams of terror that erupted from the streets below. Trees that had stood for decades were uprooted in seconds, their massive forms tossed about like matchsticks in a gale. Cars, once symbols of human engineering and progress, became deadly projectiles, hurled through the air with terrifying ease. As I stood transfixed by the apocalyptic scene unfolding before me, a sickening realization dawned. This was not an isolated event.
看见吗？就屋里修车的地儿，你看，呀，你看，呀，也掉了，也掉了，也掉了，呀，你看看，这大树连根拔起，高唐县旧城镇。
To my horror, I could make out multiple funnels descending from the turbulent sky, a nightmarish dance of destruction that seemed to defy all reason. Dongming, Wancheng, and other areas of Heze City were all under siege by nature's wrath. The windows of my room rattled violently, threatening to shatter at any moment. The building itself seemed to sway, as if it were a mere sapling in the path of this unstoppable force.
这些东北刮的龙卷风，这个塔吊都刮完了，楼上的玻璃也刮烂光了。你看这些铁炸的塔吊。
这风大不大，各位？风大不大？这屋顶都掀了，屋顶。这风能刮大就刮了，不能刮塌了啊！搁这边，搁这边，走吧。
Panic gripped me, primal and all-consuming. In that moment, all thoughts of business, of contracts and deadlines evaporated like mist. In the face of sheer survival instinct, I scrambled for the relative safety of the bathroom, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribcage. Huddled in the tub, I clung to my phone, desperately trying to connect with the outside world to make sense of the chaos that had engulfed us. But the networks were overwhelmed or damaged, leaving me isolated in a bubble of terror as the world outside was torn asunder.
玻璃全没了，看只剩个阳台了，看见漆刮3万了。
你看这刮的，刚刮的，顶都没了，电脑锅、电脑外边漏了，对面是公家大门，公家大门。
The minutes stretched into an eternity, each second marked by the groaning of stressed metal and concrete, the sharp cracks of shattering glass, and the omnipresent roar of the wind. I found myself whispering prayers in languages I didn't even know I remembered, bargaining with any deity that might be listening for just one more chance at life. When the cacophony finally began to subside, I emerged from my makeshift shelter on shaky legs, scarcely daring to believe that the worst might be over. The scene that greeted me as I peered out of my hotel room door was one of utter devastation.
你看那个，有枪吗？
我靠！我操！ 可不了。
The once immaculate hallway was strewn with debris, water from burst pipes creating treacherous pools on the floor.
这家车都飘起来了。
As I made my way down the emergency stairwell, the true scale of the disaster began to reveal itself. Entire sections of the hotel's facade had been ripped away, leaving gaping wounds that exposed room after room to the elements. Fellow guests and staff members moved about in a daze, their faces masks of shock and disbelief. Stepping out onto what had once been the main street of Dongming, I entered a world transformed. The familiar landmarks that had oriented my daily walks to and from business meetings were either gone or rendered unrecognizable. Piles of rubble stretched as far as the eye could see, interspersed with the twisted wreckage of vehicles and the splintered remains of trees. The air was thick with dust and the acrid smell of ruptured gas lines. Sirens wailed in the distance, their urgent cries a counterpoint to the moans and shouts of those caught in the tornado's path. Emergency responders were already on the scene, their uniforms a splash of color against the monotonous gray of destruction. As I wandered the ravaged streets, the stories of survival and loss began to emerge. A shopkeeper, his face streaked with blood and tears, recounted how he had watched helplessly as his livelihood of 30 years was reduced to splinters in mere seconds. As my taxi wound its way through the still debris-strewn streets towards the airport, I found myself reflecting on the fragility of our existence and the awesome, terrifying power of the natural world. The experience in Shandong changed me in ways I'm still coming to terms with. It served as a powerful reminder of the respect we must hold for the natural world and the importance of community in the face of adversity. As I watched the scarred landscape recede beneath the clouds, I silently vowed never to take the calm of a summer's day for granted again, knowing all too well the fury that could be unleashed from a clear blue sky.